From spooky season specials to haunted history deep dives, October is the perfect time to indulge in all things eerie. So this month we're doing something a little different. Join us as we recount chilling ghost stories guaranteed to send shivers down your spine. In our first story, a spectral percussionist haunts an old opera house. In the 19th century, there were two famous opera companies that toured the United States, the American and the English. The American company was known for its lavish productions and talented cast, while the English company boasted a more modest repertoire, but also boasted a renowned conductor by the name of William A. Hammond. On April 8, 1862, both companies converged on Savannah, Georgia to perform supernatural thrillers for a matinee crowd. The American company would put on a production of Hamlet, which featured a lively rendition of the famous To Be or Not to Be soliloquy, while the English troupe performed supernatural comedy sketches. But these performances were about to be cut tragically short. Just as the American company took to the stage, a noose was found around the neck of one of their actors, Mr. Diamond, who had played the role of the ghost of Hamlet's father. This grim discovery sent shockwaves through the audience. What was supposed to be a day of light entertainment turned into a morbid mystery as people began to whisper about the possibility of an actual ghost seeking revenge. Was it the ghost of an actor from a former production, or perhaps the spirit of someone hanged in the old town? As if this macabre occurrence wasn't enough, tragedy struck again when another noose was discovered outside the door of the dressing room occupied by the actor taking on the role of Hamlet's father. This chilling turn of events led to the immediate cancellation of the performance, and with the threat of potential ghostly retribution looming large, the American company decided to pack up and leave town. But the story doesn't end there. Nearly 70 years later, in 1931, the English company was set to perform at the same venue now known as the Fox Savannah Theatre. During rehearsals, strange things started to happen. The cast and crew began to experience inexplicable phenomena, including disembodied footsteps and piano music echoing from the orchestra pit. These eerie occurrences were dismissed as tricks of the imagination, likely heightened by the theatre's reputation for paranormal activity. The show went on, and the cast made it through the play without any further incidents until the final curtain call. As they took their bows, a loud knock was heard, followed by what appeared to be the apparition of a man in old-fashioned clothes pacing back and forth near the balcony above them. Some even reported seeing a shadowy figure standing by the piano in the orchestra pit. After the performance, an investigation revealed that the ghost was none other than William A. Hammond, the famed conductor from the 1800s. It was said that he had become restless because his grave was in the very spot where the theatre was built. His ghost was seen several more times over the next few decades, always near the piano in the orchestra pit. Then, in 1974, the Savannah Theatre closed its doors. For the next 9 years, the building remained vacant, save for the occasional phantom piano music drifting out of the empty halls. Finally, in 1983, the theatre was restored and reopened. Since then, the ghost of William Hammond has been spotted near the piano several times, even by theatre staff. Some have even reported hearing the faint sound of him conducting an orchestra that isn't there. Could this be the eternal echo of a musician forever reliving his greatest performance, or is there another explanation for these eerie goings-on? In our next story, a drummer battles for his place in a rock band and beyond. The story of Buddy and Julie Strange is one that many believe should be classified as a haunting, not horror. The couple met in high school and were married for 24 years. They had 3 children together and moved frequently due to jobs in construction and the military. It was in 1969 that they settled in Cheyenne, Wyoming. At the time, Buddy was working as a mechanic and performing as a drummer for a local band called the Cheyennes. He hoped that one day the band would become big enough for music to be his full-time career. But Julie worried that his dream was unrealistic and wanted him to get a more stable job. Despite this, the couple enjoyed their life in Wyoming, and Buddy continued to pursue his musical ambitions, even joining a new band called the Nomads in 1977. By this point, he had developed a habit of drinking heavily before shows and often came home drunk. Julie was furious about this and confronted him, giving him an ultimatum to stop drinking or she would leave him. Tragically, Buddy didn't listen and continued to drink heavily. On January 16, 1979, he left the house after drinking heavily and never returned. His body was later found on the side of a highway, having been hit by a car. He was only 28 years old. Julie was devastated by her husband's death, but still had to raise 3 children alone. She eventually remarried, but her second husband wasn't as accepting of Buddy as she was. He would often tell her that he didn't want to hear her talking about her ex-husband. For a while, Julie kept quiet about Buddy, but eventually she began telling her children stories about their father, pointing out the similarities between him and herself, and encouraging her children to make music. One day, her stepson found some of Buddy's old drum equipment in the basement and began to learn how to play the drums. When her family would gather on the weekends, they would often make music together. Eventually, Julie's second husband began to accept Buddy as part of the family. Now, some believe that Buddy was able to find peace, knowing that his passion for music was living on through his children. Others believe that he may have actually haunted the family in order to help his dream come true. There have been many instances where people claim to have seen Buddy's ghost at concerts and other public events. Many of these sightings have been corroborated by multiple witnesses, which makes them particularly compelling. Some say that they've seen a man matching Buddy's description, complete with his signature black hat, while others say that they've actually seen his ghost playing the drums. There are even reports of people hearing the sound of drums in places where Buddy has never played. All of these stories may just be the ramblings of overactive imaginations. But to those who knew Buddy, it seems like a fitting legacy for a man whose life was cut tragically short. In our next story, a writer hears the haunting cries of a tormented woman. Wendy Ceratops was born and raised in Toronto and always loved the city's unique urban soundscapes. When she was young, she would spend hours exploring the city's many nooks and crannies, soaking up the sights, sounds, and smells of each neighborhood. She would often walk around with a recorder, capturing the ambient sounds of the city, such as traffic, construction, and even crowds of people. One day she was walking around Kensington Market when she heard a blood-curdling scream coming from an old brick building. She stopped and listened intently. Then she heard it again, a woman's voice crying out in pain. Wendy couldn't believe what she was hearing. Surely it was just a figment of her imagination. But as she stood there listening, she heard the scream yet again. It was then that Wendy realized that what she was hearing was no figment of her imagination. The scream was real, and it was coming from inside the building. She couldn't understand the words being screamed, but the raw emotion behind the cry was unmistakable. It was clear that this was a woman in distress. Its curiosity and concern overcame Wendy, and she walked towards the sound, trying to figure out where it was coming from. The closer she got, the louder the screams became. She could feel the pain and terror in the woman's voice, and it was clear that she was in desperate need of help. Finally, Wendy located the source of the screams, an old metal fire escape. The sound was coming from the top floor. She looked up and saw a window with the silhouette of a woman in the distance. She could hear the woman's voice getting louder and more frantic. And then she did something that shocked her. The woman jumped off the ledge and fell to her death. If you enjoy these sorts of scary stories, check out more content where we publish similar videos every week. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our ghoulish tales.